After the Christmas season, the first Sunday in Ordinary Time is usually celebrated as the baptism of the Lord, except on years when the Epiphany is transferred to January 7th or 8th. Then we celebrate the baptism on Monday. So this week we've been in the first week in Ordinary Time, and the first week of Ordinary Time that you'll hear on Sunday is actually the second week. So that's kind of where we're picking up following Epiphany, is the second week in Ordinary Time. And as we do, we kind of see the application of what we heard at the Epiphany, what we celebrated, that Jesus was born into the world to be the light to the nations. And as he begins his public ministry, he really steps into that role and brings about a light to many people. So, in this second Sunday of Ordinary Time, we hear again a prophecy from Isaiah where Jesus is called to be that light, and the servant of the Lord, he was going to raise up to those tribes of Israel and be that light. And as we hear the testimony of John, he speaks of this one who existed before him, the one who has come to be the baptizer in the Holy Spirit, and kind of turns the attention to Jesus. And Jesus, in some ways embodies Psalm 40, which we hear as he says, here I am, Father, I come to do your will. So the obedience in doing the Father's will there kind of sets us up in this way. And, going into the third Sunday, I'll just set the stage a little bit because they're connected. The reality is at the time of Jesus, you had 500 years before and 700 years before two different exiles where, tribes from Israel were captured and carried away to distant countries. So, 10 of those tribes, the northern tribes, are still, in a sense, lost to the nations. Some of them may have returned, but they were influenced by non-Israelite, cultures, and that was a difficulty for the unity of Israel. And while, Jerusalem is still, or again, the center of Jewish faith, again, it's still kind of tainted by Roman occupation, foreign rule, if you will. So, Jesus is going to, come into the world, step into his ministry, to be the one that calls back to a purity of faith, if you will, the lost tribes of Israel and the nations as well. Now, for us, we kind of get our, connection to this through the second reading, at least in these first couple of weeks here. St. Paul talks about, he's writing to the Corinthians, and this is his first letter to the Corinthians, and he says, I, Paul, called to be an apostle, am writing to you who are called to be holy. And it's a reminder for us that that's kind of where we participate in this gathering in of the nations, is in our own conversion to Jesus, our own growth in holiness. That's where Jesus calls us back home, calls us back to our family of faith, and calls us back to God in Israel, in the new Israel, the church. So, that's kind of, a quick overview of where we're at and where we're going, and, we'll pick up next week with the third Sunday in Ordinary